Welcome back to Mountain Aromatics. I wanted to dedicate this entire video to Wyomingpark. Thank you so much for your question on YouTube. I read through your question and it's going to be easier for me to do a whole video on it. And I think it will be helpful for a lot of other people as well. So his question was, or her question was, from the Fougere video, the Fougere Accord video that I made. They asked, what is an accord? Is this Fougere Accord a base? Or what is in it? That kind of stuff. So I'm going to start really simply that, of course, this is called Fougere Accord. So this is an accord. This is made up of, I'll probably leave some stuff out and it doesn't even list everything that's in here. But there's going to be a Fougere. Let me just start there. A Fougere is basically an old world French style of perfume. So a Fougere is has a certain smell to it because it usually always has lavender, patchouli, bergamot. It will have oak moss. So there's some specific things that typically will need to be in the formula. Coumarin, ISOE Super, although you don't have to have ISOE Super in there, but it's in this one. But so typically you need to have these specific typical ones in it in order for it to smell like a Fougere. So you probably are asking, well, is there a specific formula? No, there's not a specific formula, because some people might go heavy on the lavender, some people might go heavy on the patchouli, some people might go a little heavier on the oak moss. That it just kind of depends, but typically in a Fougere you will have these different aromas in the formula. So there's no exact formula. So what is an accord? An accord technically is two materials put together or more. So you can have 4, you could have 25, you could have 100, like whatever. But it's simply put, let me just grab 2. Okay, ebanol and dardanol. So putting these 2 together will make an accord. So these are your sandalwoods. So you put these together and it will make an accord. So with this one, it might be a little bit more creamier, and this one, it might be a little bit more like longer lasting. And when you put them together, it just is a little bit different of a sandalwood. So you'll get the aroma from the dardanol, you'll get the ebanol smell as well, but when you put them together, you're going to get a third smell. That is an accord. It's kind of like singing. So if I just sing by myself, I'm a solo singer. But if I have multiple people singing with me, hitting different notes, that is, we're singing a chord. If you press down on a piano 1 note and then you press down 3 notes at the same time, that's an accord. It's an accord. So that's how I explain that. The other part of the question was, so is this a base? Well, if you take, it depends. Let's say you have lemon essential oil and lime essential oil, and you put those together, you have a lemon lime accord. Well, these are both top notes, so this accord is going to be a top note accord. So it totally depends. Like the two that I put together, the ebonol and the dartonol, those two sandalwoods, that's a base accord. So accords don't have to be a top note, they don't have to be a bottom note, they don't have to be a middle note, whatever, but it just depends. This would be, your citruses would be a top note accord. Lemon, lime accord. This Fougere accord is long lasting. I would say yes, you could use it as a base. It's not necessarily created to be a base. It's one of those things in perfumery that can be a little confusing, because this Fougere accord, you could simply add it to a bottle, add some of this in here and fill it up with perfumer's alcohol, and this Fougere accord is your cologne, is your perfume. But you could also make a formula with it, and this is part of your formula, and you have other ingredients in here as well. So it can go either way. It just depends on what you want. With perfumery, there are no hard and fast rules that you have to stick with. There's concepts to understand, and once you get those concepts, then that will help you create your formulas. It will help you create an accord. So let me just pull, this is Susan Lemon from creatingperfume.com. That is her accord that she created. So I created a incense wood accord. So this one is very, very heavy, a lot of wood, incense, dark. So this would be used as a base, although I could use it on its own and simply add that. It's so nice, I could just simply use it as a cologne. I could just simply add this to a sprayer and add alcohol, and this is my cologne for the day. But I could also use this as part of a formula. So this is one of the ingredients in my formula. So that's where it just depends on what you're wanting. But how do you create an accord? That was another question. It's simply taking multiple things together. Like, let's just grab some sandalwoods together. You'll take these sandalwoods and add, I'm going to make this up. Sorry, I'm going to make this up, but add 10 drops of this one, 7 drops of this one, 8 drops of this one, and 3 drops of this one together, and put it in a little vial. Let it sit for a good 2 months, and that's a sandalwood accord. That's how you make an accord. The other way I kind of just showed you was lemon and lime. So 20 drops of this and 15 drops of your lemon, of your lime, and put that together, let that sit for a good month. You have a lemon lime accord. So that's how you do it. So any 2 or more will make up an accord. So the other thing that I didn't say is that with an accord, you want it to be some type of cohesive formula. So like this would be the sandalwood. Here's the difference in a formula and a accord. So a formula would be, I just take a sandalwood, I add the lime, I add gel sol F, I add Liang Liang Accord, and just different things like that. So that could be a formula. But I'll tell you, it can be confusing, but you just want it to be something cohesive. So this is where I'm going to confuse you. So this Green Living Accord that I made, it's called Green Living, is fresh green, floral, violet, bergamot, lily, geranium, and apple. And that's a bunch of different things, almost like a formula. And in fact, it started out as a formula. And what happened is I was like, wow, this is an accord. This could be one note in a formula. And so I created this because it blends. It's so cohesive that I just created it as an accord. But I also put it in a little spray vial and used it as a cologne. And I could do that, but for me, when I finished with this, it was so cohesive and so put together, I wanted to use it as an accord. And so that is what I did. That's where you have some wiggle room to do what you want. So it's almost like there's not necessarily too much of a difference between an accord and a formula, but there is. Because a lot of accords, I would say a majority of accords, are very, very cohesive, like a sandalwood accord. So, I really do think this is pretty helpful. So I hope this answered all of your questions, because I know there was a number of questions in there. Sorry about the shaking. So anyway, if you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. And thank you again, Wyomingpark. I will see you on the next Mountain Aromatics.